Welcome, comic book readers, to episode 29 of the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club. If you are joining us live on YouTube and Facebook right now, thank you for participating in this episode. And if you don't know who we are a book club for people who like to read comics. Every week we take a different story arc or a collected volume. I like to do this with my fingers now when I explain this. And we will all read that together, and then we gather by these live streams every week to share our thoughts, views, and reviews about the book that we've all read. Of course, we will ask you what you think at the end, and we'll ask you for your scores too. So we'll get an average of what everybody thinks about what we've been reading. All the links are in the description below, or whatever platform that you're on, it'll be in the description. And we are, let me remind you, available on Spotify and what's the other one? Apple. So I knew it was some kind of fruit.
iTunes.
Yes.
Is that the one? Deezer as well.
Right. Yeah, I'm just going to hand over to you for this one, buddy. So this week, what are we reading, folks? This week we've got quite a, I'd say an important one, I think, this week. For episode 29, we are reading Batman the Killing Joke, which was, of course, published by DC in 1988. Written by Alan Moore and the art by Brian Bolland, who both obviously were part of the UK invasion into DC Comics in the 80s. And there are a few versions of this, let's say, knocking about. You've got the original one-shot graphic novels, you've got various trade paperbacks, you've got hardbacks, deluxe hardbacks, and there is an absolute edition as well. And the reason why I mention this is because there are different colored versions, different inked versions of this going about. You've got the original by John Higgins, and then you've got a recoloring that was done by Brian Bolland himself. So when we're talking about the art, you may think, oh, well, why is he mentioning those colors? They're not in the panels that I mentioned. We may have read a different version. So what I will do is, when we talk about our pages, I have got both versions for us to have a look at and compare, and we can have a little conversation with everybody as well to see which ones we kind of preferred. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Awesome.
There we go, folks. And of course, I am joined by my co-hosts, and they are less killing jokes and more knock jokes. And we have Phil from Phil's Nerdiverse on YouTube. How you doing, Phil?
All good. Ahoy, hoy.
We've got Shane from Dawn of Comics on YouTube.
Hello.
And we have Scott from Scott Shelf on YouTube too.
No one's scared to steal mine. Shamai. How you doing?
Shamai.
I can't say it.
So there you go, folks. That's who we are. That's what we're reading. And now, shall we meet everyone that is joining us and participating?
Yes.
Let's have a look. We've got Matt from the Mystery Nights. He was here early. And for that, I did award him 10 Nerd Herd points, just to let everybody know that.
What?
You
There's
don't even
points?
get
Oh,
10
Jesus.
points.
I didn't even know you get any points. Well, how many do I have?
We've got Captain Comics, ahoy mates and mermaids, ahoy to you, Captain, hope you're well. We've got Tom joining us. Good evening all. So there's only one question with this book. Did Batman fall into the Joker laughing, or did he kill him? Well, we're going to have that conversation a bit later. We've got Sith Lawley joining us. Howdy out there in California, mate. We've got Sam Taylor joining us. How you doing, Sam? Liam Cartwright is here. Hello, everyone. Very excited to hear your thoughts on this masterpiece, he called it. Ooh. We've got TB Collects and Nerd Herd time. We've got Comic Bound Adam joining us. Sup, nerds? Just scrolling on down here, bear with me. We've got Beth. That's the one I'm looking for every week now. Well, and we got Adam and Caroline joining us. Hey, guys. How are you? Hope you're both well. And I'm just scrolling on down. We got Amy. Hello, all. How are you, Amy?
Hi.
We got Sean the Noob joining us, saying evening, peeps. I'm scrolling on down. There's a lot of comments in here already. We got Laws H joining us. Hey, everyone. Hey to you. Daryl. Hello, Daryl. I'm scrolling down. Scott, have I missed anyone? You tell me.
Yes.
Comics versus the world.
Comics versus the world. Storm. Yeah, it's just
Stormcore.
Just jumped on down. I've got it. The Absolute Edition is stunning. Says Triple G Comics. How do you make? Stormcore Collectibles is here. Evening, guys. How are you? Comics versus the world. Sorry, guys, can't stick around again. Quickly answering at Comic Band's question though. The original colouring is awful. Recolouring for the win. We're gonna. We will get to this. we are gonna have this conversation, aren't we? Scott, do I have everyone?
Yes. Yes.
Fine. I don't even care whether that's true or not.
The woman Laws who commented said that she's Lorraine from Joblot.
Lorraine from Joblot Comics. Hello, Lorraine. How are you? If yes, go and see Phil and Scott's videos opening the mystery boxes from Joblot Comics, and that's who Lorraine is, in case people are wondering. All right then, folks, that's it. We need a synopsis, and that usually is by the person who chose the book, and that was this guy right here. So over to you, buddy. Yeah, he's no good.
That's not how it works.
So I guess I chose it, so this one's on me. I think a lot of people already know what this is about, but this was, I think I'm not wrong in saying this was supposed to be a standalone story of the Batman and the Joker. And this is a deep dive, I think, into the psyche of both Batman and the Joker as characters. We also get an origin story, or one of them. I think probably the most accepted one of the Joker in this as well. And it's very short. I'll put that in the synopsis. This is not a long story. It's a very short one. And it has a lot of impact. It's sort of like Bruce Lee's 1-inch punch, I think, of Bat books, this. And again, it's written by Alan Moore, so you know it's going to be controversial, I will say, as well. So there we go. That's the synopsis. How did I do, folks?
Spot on.
Excellent.
Right, yeah, good.
Thanks, guys. All right, Phil, you kick us off, buddy.
All right. This is iconic, isn't it? Really, this is like one of the iconic Batman stories of all time. Joker. It is, like I said, Joker's kind of origin, or at least one of them. And you kind of mentioned there, like, no one really knows the true origin of the Joker, and there actually is a part in this that still, even though you're getting this origin, there's still a part in it that has doubt that this is his real origin, and we'll get into that later. But yeah, I thought this was fantastic, and I have read the recolored version. I never even seen the original art, or the original colored version. And yeah, this is superb, fantastic. Artwork's fantastic. And the Joker is a complete psycho, but in the best of, like, kind of psycho you want, and like your comic books, you know, he's the villain you want. I'd stand him.
Yeah, I think you are right, mate. That I think the impact of this has been huge over the years. But let's start with the art. Let's get that out of the way, because that's probably going to be a big topic, because we have two different colorized versions of it as well. So Scott, you've never read this before. Let's point that out for people.
No,
so this is going to be
out. Go on.
No, I don't mean in a bad way. This is going to be really interesting to hear what a new reader thinks of this book. Yeah. So what did you think of the artwork? Now, you read the recolored version, didn't you, for people?
Yeah, I read the one that came out in 2008, I think it was. So yeah, because when you told us that there were two different colored versions, I really tried to keep in mind that, and I'm just trying to think now, just think of the lines themselves. I'm trying to take the color out of it and just think of just purely how it was drawn, because that's the common thing for all of us here. But it was lovely. Like, I'm really starting to appreciate that kind of art style from that era. We've been reading more and more books now of that kind of era, and I'm really starting to just enjoy it and just be like, oh yes, we've got one of these books again, and it's just a totally different beast the way this kind of stuff is drawn, and I really enjoy it. But the colors in the one that I did read, they're really nice and vibrant, and just everything that needed to popped, and everything that was the flashbacks were great as well, because they were all quite gray or sepia kind of thing, weren't they? But then when you had the Red Hood mask, that was red, and so it was kind of like had that Sin City kind of vibe with it as well.
Yeah, just to interject there, when you said the flashbacks were all grey, from what I read, that was, I think, Bolland's more original kind of idea of recoloring it, or at least that's where it's down, because I think he originally asked for a kind of Eraserhead flashback type thing, from that movie, the David Lynch thing. And when that came back, he was slightly disappointed with what happened. So that's why in the recolored version, all of those flashbacks are kind of like set in grey.
Cool, nice. But yeah, like overall, art was cool. It was great. Like the Joker and Batman, the designs of them were awesome. I really liked, Batman's suit was cool. His cowl was great. Yeah, I wasn't too sure about the Batmobile.
Yeah,
the design of the Batmobile. I wasn't too sure on that, but everything else I loved. Like the art and the designs of everything was great. Okay. Even one thing I did pick up on, and I was like, I don't think I've ever noticed it in any other comic I've read, but they were really good at doing shadows. I don't know, like you had the one that sticks out in my mind was when just before Barbara Gordon opened the door, and you see the shadow on her arm, of her arm on her body, and I was like, geez, I'm only just now noticing how good shadows are in this book.
Well, when we get to the panels, that particular moment you're talking about there, the big bang, as let's call it in the book, we'll see the shadow work there in that as well. Shane, you're very quiet on this one. About artwork. Now, you, like me, we got an even split here, haven't we? Because you and I read the original coloring, yes, and then these guys read the recolored. So
I've
what did you
never read the recoloring, so I am only going off of the original 88 issue. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Brian Boland is one of my favorite artists of all times anyway. Thanks to his work on Wonder Woman, he made me a fan. So to have a whole book with Batman and the Joker, I absolutely loved it. And what Scott was saying about the shadows, it's actually one of my pick is because of the shadows.
What?
Yeah, it was. I just thought it was absolutely fantastic the way he does detail, and I don't have anything negative to say, so I'm like letting everyone else speak because otherwise I'm just going to gush for the. I absolutely love it.
I also noticed the shadows, like the part where the Joker is going through the the carnival bit, whatever, and he's got Gordon held captive, and he's talking on the microphone and walking through the thing. You can see like the outline of the Joker perfectly in the shadow. Like things like that are usually ignored. Maybe they got like a black smudge, and that's the shadow. But they've actually kind of drew the detail of his hair and stuff into the shadows. Yeah, it's attention to detail is what I like. I like that.
Yeah, and that's why I'm kind of really happy actually that we've both read different versions as well, because we can have, I think color and shadow play a massively important thing to this book. And I think depending on which color version you've read, I think equally both of them have their strong points and weaknesses as well. So I'm kind of pleased that we both did that. Just checking the comments here before we move on to our pages. Tommy's saying the art style is amazing. I really like the recolored version, but the OG is still good, feels darker, says Tom. And Adam here saying, I also am not keen on the Batmobile design. I just try and keep in mind though, this is long before the days of Batman 89 and the animated series set the bar.
Not good that point. Long. Yeah, it was before. Only 1 year.
Yeah.
A lot can happen in 12 months, man. Yeah. All right, let's get to the pages then. Let's just take a look at these, and before we do that, hold on, one more comment coming in from Caroline here. I read it on Kindle and it was still beautiful, but I think it would have popped more in color for me. Yeah, that's the thing. I'd like to maybe read this digitally as well now, just to see how it looks. That might be my next. Yeah, that might be my next thing here.
I don't think I could. I think this is one of the few books that you need the paper in your hands for. It's too much of a classic to read it digitally.
OG, old school. All right, Phil, let's start with you then, mate. And as I said, I will show the page that the guys picked, and then I will show the equivalent of that in the other coloring as well. So Phil, you read the recolored version, so that was your page, wasn't it? You chose, bud.
Yeah, well, I didn't hold back. I wanted the iconic image, and there's quite a few in this book. Again, you know, my colors popping, like her shirt kind of pops. You kind of see the action of the gun being shot off, and even that scene, like the second panel down on the left, like there's nothing in the background apart from like just straight lines, but it just kind of emphasizes the impact and her shoes falling off and stuff. It's just like, for Pavin, there's a lot of detail, but then there's still a lot of detail missing, but you're still getting everything you need to get in those 6 panels about what happens and the kind of trauma and stuff, and like even her facial expression, like the shock.
Yeah.
But the part that gets me still is in the book that her and Jim Gordon are sitting having a chat, like a day-to-day chat, and doorbell rings and there's the Joker, like in his Hawaiian shirt with his camera. It's just like, you know,
I think we've got Tom here as well, I think, saying, yeah, look at that shirt popping.
Yeah. And just the last panel where she's just lying in complete agony, and you know, Jim Gordon's still kind of sitting there, like just like helpless almost. Like, what can I do here? There's nothing you can do. Outstanding.
Yeah.
You can just
I think
see and feel each panel there, can't you?
Yeah.
And it's just like it's great. Like you almost imagine it in kind of slow-mo, the way it is drawn. It's awesome.
But
yeah, I was just going to say, you get a sense of that motion from that, like really bad, like, you know, like you said, I never thought of it when I read it that way, but now you said that about slow motion. Yeah, I can kind of see that, man.
But look at the first panel as well. Like, there's two people behind Joker that don't need to be there, but look at the detail put into. It's just half a face, but there's still so much detail, and even just the top of the head.
The forehead has more detail than that issue of Future State.
Okay, let's. Sorry, Shane. Go on. I thought you finished.
Just the care in detail, just for something as simple as a forehead. It just goes to show that how much you care about your craft.
I completely agree with that. I don't think I will fight anyone on screen right now that says that there wasn't thought and care put into this book. Like, I will. Like, everyone's opinion is fair and accepted on this show, but I will fight you on this one. I will. Let's look at, as I said, as I promised, let's look at the equivalent of that. So in the original coloring, so that's what the Brian Bolland version looked like. The original John Higgins coloring looked like that. Oh, wow. So that's what I was saying about shadow and stuff. If you look at that first panel, you can see there with the shirt and all of that, and then you've got more of a shadowing going on in that original coloring.
Yeah, so
I don't know.
I prefer the newer one.
Yeah, I think I do as well.
The color takes away from the dramatics of it. It makes it look too bright.
But let's have that conversation at the end. Let's get through the pages and then we'll have that conversation at the end, because I got a feeling that's going to be a fairly big one to have. So that was Phil's page. Let me just check up on the comments, because I can see we've just had a whole bunch come in while we were looking at that. TB Collect is saying, not sure about the UK, but the absolute killing joke is only $27 on Amazon in the US right now. Go get it. I think it's about 25 over here as well, isn't it? 25, 26 quid?
25 delivered at the minute, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Liam is saying that, just to throw a curveball, he read the noir version for today, and while it's still amazing, he really missed the color. I don't think I can read this like noir.
He's already read the other ones, so he told me that because he wanted to read it again, he thought he would read the noir version, because that's the only version he hasn't read yet. Ah,
makes sense. Stormcore Collectibles is saying, I've never seen the OG version, but completely agree about the way the color pops in this, and for me works so well with my image of the Joker. Completely agree. Comic Band O'Darn, yeah, it was a year. It was still before. Oh yeah, that was the Batmobile conversation that we were having as well. Bear with me, because the comments are just jumping on me, because we've got quite a few. Daryl says that was his favourite page as well, Phil. The shooting of Barbara.
It's all outstanding, to be honest.
Yeah, the movement in panel 5 is incredible. And Comic Band is saying, love the page, but I think the OG colouring had more impact. When everything turns red after the realisation of the danger, and it stays red for the whole scene. We'll get to that conversation, but I think I'm leaning on your side there. And of course, it was going to come up. Matt says the film does not do the book justice. No. Let's just get that out of the way now. No, it doesn't. Okay, let's move on to another panel. Mr. Shane, how about you, mate? Your panel was, now you read it OG style like me, so that was the page you chose. Want to talk us through that one?
Yes. I know it's not the real Joker, but just that first second when Batman walks in to confront the Joker, and he's shrouded, but there's light, and you've got the flap of the cards, and he's just ignoring Batman until you know it's not the Joker. He's acting very Joker-esque. So, but that bottom panel is just absolutely stunning for the lack of color and the lack of light. It's just got so much detail, and it's so good.
Yeah, I think, would it be fair to say then, because we're talking about the shadows and stuff, that's where this is quite exceptional, because usually where you get shadow, you think of that as an absence of detail, where in this, there's shadow, but there's still a whole abundance of detail in the book.
Like just
fair.
under the table there, you know, you can still see his legs, but you didn't need to put that in, but it was put in and it looks great.
Yeah.
See, the first few pages of the book really kind of built the atmosphere. Like, that Arkham Asylum is not like a nice place to visit. It's not going to be a wee cushy number, of course. So it's like, it was good at building an atmosphere, and that this kind of stuff does it. You know, the shadows.
Yeah, I think the beginning of the book definitely sets that like straight away, doesn't it? That first page, no dialogue as well. It's just Batman coming up to Arkham, walking down the halls with Jim Gordon, and then they arrive at this cell, and there's like no dialogue, like really prior to this. I don't think is that. And I had a conversation with Tom from This Month in Movies about this, and you know, he said this scene obviously didn't play out the way, but he definitely got the vibe from the movie, you know, the interrogation scene between Christian Bale and Heath Ledger. In that, he's got that kind of atmosphere from that build up and like that scene in the book. Don't know about you guys.
I get it.
Yeah, just on like the details and stuff as well. Like, I read this after, like, on his cell number, he's 0801, and like the 8th letter of the alphabet's H, and the first letter's A, so it's Ha on, and is on his cell number or his door.
Jeez, are you one of these people that work out who's in the Illuminati? Like, how do you get to that? I wouldn't have even thought to look that up.
I read it as oh boy.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so because I think it was mentioned in Scott Snyder's run as well about having Ha on the door, 0801 Ha.
Okay, so as promised, here is the other version, the recolorized version.
I don't want to see it.
And that is Brian Bond's recolored version of that scene.
No.
It's still good. I mean, it's not bad.
Good, but no.
The original in that one, the original is. I mean, it's hard. I mean,
that's like the difference between old car headlights and new car headlights.
Yeah, but the atmosphere's gone. It doesn't have a grimy atmosphere. It looks too clean with that white light.
Wait, I gotta stop. That's one of the best review quotes I've ever heard. It's the difference between new car headlights and old car headlights.
It's like a bulb and an LED, isn't it?
Yeah, man. Look out for that on the back of the new edition soon. Oh, that's brilliant. So there you go. That was Shane's page. We'll move to mine next because Scott, you got a pretty big one. So we'll go to mine. I read it OG. Before we do that, let me check the comments again though. Laws is saying she loved the focus on the cape in that page that you chose. The cape drawing in this was awesome. Like there were several panels in this where the cape is amazing. Tyler's saying you can hear Batman dragging the wood chair on the stone floor. Very much so. And we've got Andy joining us as well. Evening to you, Andy. He says, can you imagine someone picking up this book in 1988? Absolute Bolland masterpiece. Daryl is saying, I actually saw the animated film first. This was my first read of the comic. It was just a sense of nostalgia while reading it, rediscovering the story page by page. Good on you, mate. Liam, original is definitely better in Liam's opinion. We're going to get to that. I promise you, we will get to that. I promise you.
We should take it at the end.
Yeah, I read OG style, so I picked this. Not the most interesting panel. I will be honest with you.
It was my second
choice. There's a reason I chose this. Because, and this is really the main and only thing I really wanted to say about this book, because everything has been said about this book already, but everybody thinks of this as a Joker story. They're like, oh, it's the best Joker story ever written. And I honestly think, having read this so many times in my life now, Batman gets very overshadowed in this book. But to me, and this is at the admittance of Alan Moore, is that this book was written to highlight the symmetry and the contrast between the psyche of Bruce Wayne and the Joker. And in this book, if you look, every couple of pages, there is some symbolism or metaphor reference to reflections. And you can see there's two bottom panels down there. When he's talking to his wife in the flashback, he's reflected in the mirror. And then as he comes out of it, and there's all pages where people are reflected in puddles all the time. And I honestly think that was intentional for the metaphor of what this book is saying, or what Alan Moore was trying to do with that contrast, was try to say that Bruce Wayne is just as psychologically disturbed as the Joker. Both of them have been through traumatic experiences, that one bad day that they've had. And the Joker even makes references again in the House of Mirrors, reflections, to saying that, you know, Bruce, you know, but you've been through this too. And I think the difference there is highlighted that though they have that similar connection with each other, one of them finds it meaningless and therefore everything else is meaningless. And the other one is trying to find meaning in it. And that's why I picked this page, just to highlight that reflection theme throughout the book.
Deep. But yes. Mic drop. Yeah.
This is a deep book, though. There's no getting away from it.
Yeah. I mean, the more you think about it.
Like, Alan Moore doesn't just write a simplified story, does he? He tends to put a bit more layers and a bit more meaning into his writing, doesn't he? So, yeah, 100%. I agree.
Yeah. And the recolored version looks like that. As I said, all the flashbacks are in grey, as we talked about, for that reason. So that's what that looks like. Me personally, I prefer that. But all right, let's move on to Scott's, and then we'll have the discussion about preference, because people are dying to do this. Let me just, Scott, before we get to you, let me just check the comments here as well. Hello to Paolo Costa. How you doing, buddy? Shane, your brother Tottenham Gaming. You're one bad day away from being me, Frank Castle. Hello to Albert. And Triple G Comics is saying, totally agree. The story is all about they could have been each other under different circumstances. And Law says, well said to Dean, and a bang on Deano. Don't bang on me. No, I'm fragile. All right, Scott, let's get to you, mate. Because the reason why we saved yours till last is, and anyone that hasn't read this, right, I'm going to say massive spoiler coming up with Scott's page. So
sorry, guys.
Watch out, folks. If you've not read it, you might want to shut your eyes and put your fingers in your ears for like a couple of minutes right now. Scott, you read the recolored version, so this was the page you chose.
This is what I had. For me, as a first-time reader, this was kind of like, what the hell's going on? Like, this is where you see that, like, Batman and Joker, even though they're completely different people on the opposite ends of a spectrum, this book kind of shows you that maybe they're actually closer than what you think. You know, they both had really traumatic experiences, and they've just dealt with those experiences a lot differently, but they've both maybe snapped in that same way. And then, you know, this is just that third panel at the top there where Batman is just going like, hey, just like starting to like really get it, and then just cracks up, and then it was that that got it for me. And you know, for the end, I expected there'd be like another page or two, and that's what I wanted at least. And I was like, oh man, that's it. But I think you know, I didn't actually clock onto this until, you know, a couple of minutes before. I think it was this Tom from This Month in Movies. He said, you know, did Batman fall into him laughing like on his shoulder, like, haha, good one, or did he just stab him? Because, you know, there's this whole conversation about who's going to die first. Are we going to kill each other, or should we just call it quits here? Yeah, it's just a massive page, isn't it? It's just like loads happens.
And we're going to have that conversation. We're towards the end, before we do final thoughts, we will have that conversation about what we feel the ending meant. So let's save that. The recolored version, and I'm just going to say, like, wow, like the recolored version, there it is.
Oh, cool.
So to me, the color just explodes at the end of that for me. Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to buy this Absolute that has both of them. I'm going to have to.
Yeah, I think for that price, you can't go wrong. Like like Tyler was saying, you know, for 20 odd quid or $20 odd, man, you can't go wrong with this for that price. So those are the pages that we chose. Let me just check the comments, and then we'll get to talking about which versions we kind of prefer. Adam is saying great points, and I have some instances where I feel like some of the symmetry also clouds the clarity of the flashbacks and underline how it might not actually be real or accurate events. Again, there you go, another layer possibly on top of that as well. Scott, that's also Liam's favorite page as well.
Ooh. Nice.
Pablo is saying that he has the Brazilian edition of this from '91, the original colouring, not the recolored versions you find in the reprints. So he's got the OG version as well. And Shane, your brother, is saying they totally kissed. It's what the Joker always wanted. There we go. There's a third outcome to this that nobody thought of.
The police turned their sirens off, going,
"Oh, don't! That's going to be on DeviantArt somewhere, isn't it? The next panel. It's just going to be them making out."
See, just the point Adam's made there as well. Sorry, like about having like the flashbacks, like just like not having clarity, it kind of makes you doubt it. That's kind of what I think, because there's a part in the book where he's taunting Batman by saying, "What happened to you? Were you? What was it? Was your girlfriend killed by the mob? Your brother carved up by a mugger?" He was asking what happened to Batman, why he became Batman, and he even referenced his own past and says he doesn't know what happened because I prefer multiple choice. It kind of reminds me of the Dark Knight movie whenever Heath Ledger's one. This is how he got the scars. We had 3 different stories. So like, it's a way to kind of play, and like no one really knows the origin. This may be it, and people believe this is it. But there's still a little bit of doubt that that's not the real origin.
And you touched on there one of the points I will make at the end of this when we get to final thoughts and stuff. So let's just go round briefly. And if folks watching along want to drop in, just say OG or recolored, let's see what people prefer. So let's just have a quick whiz around. Phil, what do you prefer and why, mate?
To be honest, for the page I picked, I preferred the recolored. But the rest of the 3 we've seen, I think I prefer the OG. So that's why I'm going to buy the Absolute, and I'm going to have both.
Okay, so you're undecided. You can see
I'm
the good and bad in both. Yeah, Shane, need we ask?
Oh, OG straight away. I mean, that the recoloring is just too bright and sterile, isn't it? It's not. No, I like the grime.
Okay, Scott.
Also on the fence. Like with Shane's pick, I preferred the OG. With Phil's, I preferred the newer. With mine, I liked some panels of the newer one, some panels of the older one. So yeah, there's appeal for both, isn't it? Like at the end of the day, I think whatever version you pick up, you're going to enjoy it.
Okay, and I think it's pretty obvious for me. It's OG, and I'll tell you the reason why without being deep again. But the original to me seemed more nightmarish because of the colors that we used, the greens and the purples and the yellows. I got more, and I have read both versions. I have read the recolored and the original. And I feel like the original has more of a nightmare tone to it, more of a surreal wash across it. And I think I prefer that given the tone of the plot in the book for me. That's why.
Can I just say, so we've read the OG and we've picked the OG. These 2 have read the recoloring and can't decide. So what does that tell you about people that have read the recoloring?
OG.
I mean, that's a good point. If I'd have read the OG, like that Barbara Gordon scene where she was shot, like that was like a shocking scene. If I'd have read that in the OG, I'd probably be like, I prefer that, just because when you're reading the recolored, I've only ever read the recolored one before.
I think it goes back to like what Adam said, those techniques used with John Higgins coloring. I think he's like when he says like when Barbara's shot, it goes red, and it's almost kind of like psychological, like in your brain when you're reading it, like that whole thing goes red for all of those panels, like and that's what I mean by it gives it this kind of like real nightmare kind of vibe. All right, let's just check what everyone else is saying then. So we got Tyler who says original for him. Amy is saying 100% OG. Nice. Caroline is saying recolored for most of the pages. Adam, OG. Albert, OG.
My people.
Phil. Sorry, I've just skipped the chat's just jumped down on me here as well. Phil's in here saying it's actually 25 pants Smiths if you use that code. Laws is saying original for her. Adam is undecided on which colouring he prefers. I've got to say the name again.
Echidna.
Echidna, right. Echidna says, I'm not a fan of digital colours on pre-digital comics. It's like CG jabbering Star Wars. Yeah, it's a good reference, man. And Tom's changed his mind. Sorry, I'm on the fence. 50-50 split. You just backpedaled, man. Matt, Matt, OG was better. And Comic Bound is saying it's a lot more psychedelic in the original. It ties well into the theme of madness. Yes, agree. Hold on. Comments are jumping down. You're all going too fast for me. Liam says, honestly, I think it's a pretty even split. I think the OG just edges it, though. Amy says, getting a lot of emotions from the OG than the recolored. Tyler, also in the Absolute Edition, the original colouring is on newsprint instead of glossy paper. Oh, that's nice. And Sean is saying it's OG for him. Laws is asking for our views on the ending. We're going to get to that, Laws. We're going to get to that. Pablo saying old editors and artists had better notions of colour theory. They understood what colours meant and knew how to take advantage of limited colour palettes and old printing technology. You got a very good point there. I suppose if you're limited to that technology, you got to find more clever ways, haven't you, to get inside people's brains. Yeah, very good point. I think we're at the bottom of the comments there. Thank God. It was just an influx of that ones. Thank you. Right then, so let's move on then. Let's before we do final thoughts and stuff, let's have that conversation about the writing, and we'll wrap that up then with the feelings about the ending. Yeah. Cool. All right, Scott. So come on, tell us. We're all dying to know what the new reader thought of the story of The Killing Joke.
There was a lot of hype, right? Like, a lot of people built this up for me, and they were like, you know, this is fantastic. You're going to love it. Is it going to beat Kanto in the leaderboard and all this? So I expected a lot, right? I expected a lot to happen. And, you know, yes, I know that shooting Barbara Gordon is terrible, and doing what he did to Jim Gordon was also like mental, batshit crazy. Like, who the hell would do that, right? But I was expecting a larger scale thing, you know what I mean? Like, just Joker, like, really, like, as in a group of people, you know, like not just one or two people. That's the kind of thing I was expecting, but that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. The Joker is messed up. And I think that's what I enjoyed about it. And what I also enjoyed is, you know, when you're kind of realizing that, you know, oh wait, Joker and Batman might be on a similar wavelength after all. And it's just, you know, like, I like a bad guy that talks, you know, the way that Joker talks. You know, like when we read The God Butcher, I had those similar vibes. I love that. It's just a bit of crazy. It's not just a guy.
So you like a Bond villain then, one that kind of like tells you what he's going to do before he does it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, yeah, I just, you know, as a story as a whole, like, I was expecting a bigger bang, to be honest, but I'm not disappointed with what I got. I'm kind of happy at the fact that Batman wasn't in it that much, and yes, it was kind of a Joker story. But you know, when Batman was in it, it was great. You know, it was, but you know, I didn't miss him. I didn't think he was in it too much. And then the origin was cool. I really liked the origin of, you know, potential origin of how he became the Joker. Yeah. And that's
I think I can understand you saying there that you maybe expected a big bang from this, because the hype around it would suggest that something cataclysmic goes on inside, you know, these very short pages of this book. But I think Sean just hits the nail on the head, really. You know, this is an intimate story between good and evil, rather than a big explosive event. It's a subtle story, let's put it that way, isn't it? You know,
it's a big event of the mind.
Yeah.
I think that's,
that is a very
how I
poetic way of putting it.
I think it's more believable than Joker like taking over Gotham or doing. I mean, he is just a man, so it's a lot more believable when he focuses his time on one person, and he sets all his attention, and his one purpose is to prove a point, and that point is one bad day, and the fact that he just hones in, and it's Jim Gordon, everyone else is in the way. He wants Jim Gordon. He wants to send him crazy. The stories where the Joker focuses on one person are the best stories.
Yeah, they're good.
They're more believable.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to what Sean said about, I think when you have that, particularly between him and Batman, when the focus is just like, it is more intimate. And because of that connection, thanks to this book, going forward, I think that intimacy is still there in those stories, you know, because of this, really. Phil, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the Joker broke out of Arkham, and you didn't see it. But you didn't need to see it. You don't need the kind of action of him killing some guards or whatever, because that would have been a different story. Like, the fact that it's quite subtle and intimate, like, you don't really need that much action, I don't think. And you're right, this is what was your phrase there, Scott? A book of the mind, or what was it you said?
It's a big event of the mind.
Big event of the mind, yeah. How was it? Like
That's so going on the Instagram clip tomorrow.
Yes, made it.
Can I just say as well, like, Shane, your brother, again, makes a very valid point. It is true. It was bigger for the time. You know, nowadays people are like, oh, yeah, you know, he shot Barbara. Like, the shock isn't there. But back then, and let's not skirt around it, you know, like, and again, I don't think this is a book for children at all. You know, there is sexual assault on Barbara and stuff. Like, that scene really just shows you the depravity of the Joker in this book, man, you know?
Yeah, definitely. It was, you know, it's a bit, it's very mature. It's a bit, and it is, you know, like, it does have that bit of a shock factor to it as well.
Totally. And that, rightly so. I mean, that has been over the years criticized as well now, hasn't it? You know, that whole encounter that Barbara has with the Joker, it has come under a lot of scrutiny of the portrayal of what happened in all of that. And, you know, rightly so. And again, like I said, it's Alan Moore. You know, you're going to get some sort of controversy from Alan Moore. That's what he does, man. Help me out.
Echidna
says Batman and Joker are both defined by their one bad day. I think the book would be stronger if it followed up on Barbara's bad day and how she refused to be defined by it. I think we do, don't we?
I would imagine that'll be a good
yeah. I'm sure that comes in other runs, doesn't it? You know, with her being Oracle inside, sure, she confronts this. Yeah,
multiple times. She even confronts the Joker again multiple times after this. So
yeah, definitely happens. Shane, the writing for you?
I think I differ from you lot with the flashback, the origin. I feel like it is his origin for this book. It was designed to be his origin. I don't think there's a doubt, because he's not telling it to anyone. If he was telling it to someone, then maybe I wouldn't believe him. If he was telling it to us, maybe I wouldn't believe him. But it's just being shown to us. That he's not telling us the.
But just to kind of like play devil's advocate here, doesn't that make him even more crazy if he's believing his own bullshit? Because like Phil said, there is that moment where he says, I choose to remember multiple choice.
Yeah, but he's not telling us the backstory. We're just seeing it. That's what I'm saying. It's not portrayed to us as the Joker is telling you the backstory. The Joker is telling the reader. The Joker is telling anyone. The book is just showing us his backstory. So I choose to believe that as his backstory. Me personally, that's how I take the book. Had he been telling Batman the story, or had there been a voiceover throughout where even if he's going through his mind, recounting his backstory, then maybe I wouldn't believe it. But it is just shown to us. So that's why I personally believe this was his origin for this book. That was
I think a lot of people do, to be honest, don't they? I think this is considered like the most palatable origin that a lot of people have kind of settled on, of like, well, if one is true, I think this is the one people kind of favor and stuff. And just a correction there, Echidna says he meant in this book about Barbara confronting that thing. So just
but the book isn't about Barbara. The book is about Jim Gordon. It's about that was just she just happened to be there. Had he been at the library, I don't think he would have gone to the library to go after her to get her. He would have he only went there because Jim was there. He went there to get Jim. I don't believe he would have veered off course to do anything to Barbara.
See, I think he would have, because obviously to her, I think that the thing is as well is that, I guess another thing that this book kind of crystallizes as well is that, you know, if you're going to hurt Batman, like, I think this book shows that to break Batman isn't to break Bruce Wayne, you get to Bruce through his family and friends. Like, I think this book really highlights that as well. You know, like if that ending does play out the way that the title suggests there, you know, then that proves that that's the way to break the bat, isn't it? Through the people that he cares about, you know, with what Jim's been through and Barbara and stuff like that. And I think that was the intention, you know, when driving Gordon mad, that's the Barbara was clearly a part of that, you know, to drive Gordon nuts. So I think he probably would have gone to the ends of the earth at that point to kind of prove that point that he was making. Let me just check the comments here as well. TB saying, I think after reading it again, I get more each time. This time I really got the humanity of the Joker, struggling to provide for his family and driving him to commit the crime to pay for his family. Yeah, I think that's the thing with that story, isn't it? I think it, like you just said there, it brings a bit of humanity to him, doesn't it? We all know him as that psychopath, but when you do see that backstory, there is a part of you that kind of goes, And again, I'll probably touch more on that in my final thoughts. Adam saying he's telling it to himself, and he says himself, sometimes I remember it one way, sometimes another. That's like me and things that I did an hour ago. Like, all right then, folks, the glasses are off. The glasses are on.
What does that mean?
Get your waves up.
No. I was going to say, but before we do it, let's just have a quick, I don't want to dwell on this too long because obviously time is ticking on here, but what do we feel about the ending? Let's wrap it up with that. And everyone in the chat, share your thoughts about the ending, because obviously this is an ending that has been debated and talked about since 1988. So share what your interpretation is of that ending, or what you felt that meant. Let's start. Let's go the other way around with the new reader, Scott.
Okay. I honestly think that they are just laughing it out, and I'm seeing it as a film where it kind of pans away and the music fades away, because they say like, oh, the police sirens stop and all that, and I'm just thinking of it just like the sound is fading away and you're just seeing this puddle, the reflection thing, and then that just leaves you thinking. That's what I think. I don't think he died. I just think it's, just it all just panning away and just silent, and just you just looking at a puddle with rain on it in a reflection, and that's all it is.
Right. Okay, Shane, how about you?
I believe this was meant to be a standalone story and was never meant to be added to the continuity of DC Comics, and Batman kills the Joker. The sirens are still going and the laughter just stops like that. Batman kills the Joker when I read it.
I agree with Shane. It was a one-shot book, and I think it's called The Killing Joke, and at the start of the book he referred to one of them's going to kill each other. But I think as well, Ben Alan Moore, they purposely left it, is it ambiguous? Is that the right word? Is it ambiguous? Like, it will have this discussion. It will have people debating one way or the other, but I do think he killed him.
I completely agree. I think Alan Moore left this ambiguous at the ending. I think he has gone on record as saying that was done on purpose, because he didn't want a pure definitive ending to things. But I agree with everything. The one person I align with more than anything is Grant Morrison. Everything Grant Morrison says about that ending, I completely agree with. Batman did kill the Joker in this. The title says it all. The Killing Joke. It's the joke that broke the Batman. You know what I mean? And caused murder. So to me, that did happen. And Phil and Shane reference what you're referencing there about it supposedly originally being out of continuity is correct. It was supposed to be a one-hit standalone thing that two British guys were working on. And something really interesting before we get to doing the final thoughts, I read that Alan Moore had already fallen out with DC at that point when he wrote this, and he only finished the book, according to Brian Bolland himself, at Brian Bolland's request. Brian said, no, don't leave, finish the book. So he did it as a favour to Brian.
So we were this close to not getting this book.
It would appear so, according to Brian Bolland. Yeah, he said he only stayed because he asked him as a favour to him to stay on the book.
Wow.
Then I'm even more convinced that Batman killed him, because Alan Moore's probably like, stop it. I'm gonna make him kill. I don't
Now
care.
I think they killed each other because the laughter
Yeah.
stops like that.
Yeah, he's like, everyone gets
Okay.
murdered here. All right, let's see what people in the chat think before we get on to those final thoughts and scores here. So Stormcore Collectibles is saying, I was initially all about the recolor, but looking at the panel showcase this evening, I'm now on the fence. I hadn't realised how dark it should look. There we go. Your brother is saying, I think he should have punched the Joker in the throat and told him to apologise. There we go. We got a fourth outcome now. Coraline is saying, initially I was confused, but then I think it left me thinking about it more afterwards, which I enjoyed. I think that is a side effect of this book. Like it lingers with you, this, doesn't it? Adam is saying the ending is like a flashback. It's multiple choice. It's supposed to work either way. That's a good way to look at it. Sean shows the dynamic between the two of them, that they have a type of mutual respect that will inevitably destroy them both. Yeah, people putting it very articulately. Liam, is Scott turning the killer joke into a rom-com? It did sound like that.
They lived happily ever after.
Paolo Costa saying the lettering to the final panel's laughed at includes a non-standard character that in comics is usually used to refer to our last breath. Oh,
nice.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and check that out now. Tarby saying, I always read it as Batman laughed with the Joker, but the last couple of reads, Batman kills the Joker without a doubt, says Tom. And Lorraine here is saying, I think Batman shows his true dark side, but I think more he's so clever that he has us all debating it these years later. I completely agree with that. TB says Batman doesn't kill.
I might want to go back and read some older issues.
I don't think the Joker broke the Batman in this. Okay, so TB's got a different outcome there. Amy's saying, did Scott read the right comic book? And Liam says the book starts with Batman wanting to discuss that one will end up killing the other. It ends with Batman giving the Joker one last chance. Batman then laughs with the Joker realizing what he has to do. There we go. That is everyone's thoughts and opinions. Decades later, we're still talking about it. So there you go. Glasses are off. The glasses are on. Let's do it. Final thoughts and scores, people. And if you're watching and you're joining us and you're reading along, you know what to do, folks. Drop your final thoughts, what you thought about the book, and your score out of 10. And we'll take an average of that. And Phil, over to you, bud.
I'll keep it short and sweet. I've actually changed my score while talking through this, and I've actually
hang on. We just need a threatening pose here as well.
I've actually lowered my score, which I feel dirty about, to be honest. But I'll tell you why. But the book overall, I thought was fantastic. I mean, I've read it before and loved reading it again. I tend to believe that obviously the Joker did die at this because it's called the Killing Joke, and it's like the joke's on Batman because the Joker's won the day by making Batman killed, if you know what I'm trying to say. So that's my kind of end. And in fact, there's this kind of like idea that could go either way. It's almost like a bit of an annoyance. Like I want people to believe the right thing, which I think's right, but obviously everyone has a different opinion. But believe what I say or else. But the reason why I've changed my score, so I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. That was going to be a full 10, to be honest. But seeing the recolor of the pages, I feel like I've been cheated out of it. Like I feel like I need to read it in this original coloring, because kind of having two different kind of versions of the book, I think you're getting two different things out of the book. So just based on that. Can I just re-clarify for myself? That are you saying that you're leaving a little bit of wiggle room there because the OG version coloring may actually bump that even higher for you? Yeah, I think so. The reason being because of the atmosphere, kind of in the older style art and coloring, it seems like it could be maybe more, and that's why I enjoyed about this book as it was. But then if the OG one has like more atmosphere and is better, I feel like I have to kind of lower this one to kind of give a 10 for the one. But the story overall is fantastic, and this wasn't in my top 3 of Batman books, but I think this has ousted Court of Owls, to be honest, in my top 3.
Okay, there we go now. Mr. Dawn of Comics.
We're going to have to make sure we all read the same edition next time, because this cannot happen again, Phil.
I originally thought the same. I originally thought the same as you, Shane, but then I think it's made for a far more interesting discussion, because, like, as I said before, a lot has already been said about this book. I said, so the fact that we have read the different coloured versions, I think, has made for quite a bit of an interesting talk this evening.
Yeah.
Come on then, buddy.
All right, so, I mean, what's not to love? This is the definitive Joker story. When I'm asked a joke, what's a good Joker story? It's The Killing Joke. What's a good Batman story? It's The Killing Joke. It's number one on my list of every single Batman list that I have. I can't remove it from there. Nothing's ever topped it. Court of Owls has come close, but nothing's ever knocked it off. I've read it multiple times. I will read it many, many more times, because it's just that good. The art's fantastic. Everything we've said already. Art, story, fantastic. The ending, I agree with Phil and Dean. Interesting that a new reader like Scott found something different, which is fantastic. It means you can pick up the book 33 years later and have your own opinion on it, which is great. But for me personally, this is, when you ask me what a Batman story is, this is it. So this is a 10, because I can't think of a better Batman story. I've never read. I haven't read one.
Whoop! It's a 10 from Mr. Dawn of Comics himself. Scott, over to you, mate.
It was the hype, man. The hype. So yeah, don't get me wrong. The story was cool, and I enjoy a thinker. I love books and films and TV shows that just make me think, and it was really cool to get this insight into Joker's mind and his motivations and all this kind of stuff. And I did really enjoy it. But I preferred Court of Owls. I thought that was a better story, in my opinion. You know, it just had more of a, I don't know, like a menacing, like a darker thing for me. I'm sorry, Shane. I'm just looking at your face. You look
Triggered.
Triggered. I'm going to leave this after. You know, yeah, like I said earlier, I loved the art style of this era, and the story was really cool. And I have actually raised my score from what I originally intended to score it. And I was going to originally give it an 8. But after discussing with you guys and you know, thinking about things a bit more and seeing different opinions and insights, it's going to be a 9.
Okay, wow. That's a 9 from Scott. I am glad you said it was a 9. I thought we would have to look for a 4th member of the Nerd Herd.
It's a 6.
You're looking at it upside down. It's actually a 9.
It's actually a 9.
Okay, I'm just literally, I know I am like faffing around here, but we've had quite a lot of scores coming in there, so I am literally just trying to make sure I am getting everybody's scores in there, and they just keep coming. So if somebody could just hum some elevator music for a second, that'd be great. All right, that'll do. Okay, so let's get to everybody's final thoughts and scores then. I am just making sure I've got them all in here as well. Yep, I do. And now I'm going to have to make the long journey all the way back up to the top, which now I've gone too far. All right, so here we go. I think we start round about here. So Shane, Tottenham Gaming, this statue brother, he gives it a 10. Tom gives it a 10. GP Venom says, "Hi guys, best Batman book ever." 10. Ooh. Echidna, I got it right. You even put it in there for me this time. Bless you. Thanks for it. It says, "It's not perfect, but it is a classic for sure." 9 out of 10. Lorraine is saying it's a 10, and she's not even a huge Batman fan. TB says 10. Can and will read every year. Still great all these years later. Liam goes in for, if I could rate higher than a 10, I would. So it's a 10. Caroline is coming in with a 7.5. We've got Sam, who says, "Classic, one of the best DC I have read. You have given me a lot to think about in how I look at the story." It's a 9 from him. Highland G comes in with a 7. Says it's a 7 for me. A bit overrated for what if type story, in my opinion. Was fun though. We've got Sean saying, for me, one of the best Batman stories, if not the best, iconic, and resulted in so many of the stories being told in today's comics. It's 10 from him. Daryl comes in with a 9 out of 10. Just lovely story with a powerful open ending that has clearly left generations of discussion and debate. Well said. Adam says, I am struggling because I can't think of a real reason not to give it a 10. So there you go. And Stonecold Collectible says, I am really green when it comes to DC. This really blew me away. And I thank you guys for drawing my attention to it. It's something I wouldn't have brought if it wasn't for this show. 9 out of 10 for him. That's that. Yeah, that's a very good review, that one. The Comic Room says, when you still get something new from a story every time you read it, you know it's something special. 10 out of 10. And just scrolling back up because I can see we've got a few more in there. Tottenham Game saying anything lower than 9's blasphemy. And Tom saying, so Dean needs 2 new hosts for next week.
I feel guilty for giving it a 9. Like, I was going to give it a 10 originally, but just the 2 contrasting artwork is why I've changed.
Let me just say a big hello to Off My Shelves as well. He's had to have a toothache today, so he's like, I hope you're well, mate, and not in too much pain. That doesn't sound very nice. And Gul Vidal is joining us, saying, good day. Sorry I missed the discussion. The Killing Joke is a 10. I read it when it came out at the time. None of us had read anything like it before. Totally agree with you, mate. Let me just make sure I get that score in there too. All right, I'll do mine really quick, and then we will see what everybody thought, and we will move on to seeing what the averages were. So for mine, I already mentioned about the reflections to me. That was the most important thing in this book for me. Like, I mean, yeah, we'd had nods to the kind of psychological bond between the Joker and Batman before, but this book crystallized that for me. It literally solidified all of those things and made that literally canon going forward in history. That bond, this defined the psyche, I think, further of Bruce Wayne and the Joker and how they interconnect with each other. And this did this I said at the beginning, in such an impact, I think, for new and old readers, of which we've had a mix here for this episode. And we can see whether it's a high score or low score, it's made an impact. And that's the thing about art. Art should always have an impact, whether it's good or whether it's bad. It should always have an impact. There's no excuse for bland art, in my opinion. And this is going to be one of those stories that carries on down the ages. This is going to be something that parents have told their children about, and they will continue to do that. And as a Batman fan, that is what you want in a Bat book. And for me, this has a personal place in my heart because this is one of the books that got me into Batman. So again, reading this for me is a nice little trip down memory lane. So I am going to break my own tradition here, or my own record, and I'm going to give my first ever 10 out of 10.
What?
On the Nerdhead here. Yeah, and I don't give a 10 out lightly. I have never dished out a 10 so far.
Never?
Nope.
No. Well done.
Okay, so let's see what the scores are then. So with everybody participating along with all of their scores, they have given this a 9.3.
Nice.
That's what this comes in at for everybody watching. Us on the screen here, we're not too far away. We have given it a 9.5. That's what it comes in at for us. So on the Nerdhead leaderboard, I think it's pretty obvious for those that watch along every week. I think we're going to know where this falls. I think this lands in second place.
Oh my god!
Yeah, how did Kanto beat this?
This lands in second place by 1 decimal point. One decimal point kept this from the top.
If Alan Moore was on the stream, it would score higher, just like David Brewer,
How is Kanto? How is Kanto in first place? Honestly,
but the thing with Kanto is as well, like, I mean, and I'm not trying to make a case for either or here, but Kanto is it's much more accessible and universally friendly, isn't it?
I haven't thought about Kanto since I've read it. Batman Killing Joke, I've been thinking about that for the past 20 years. Kanto was just one and done. I haven't thought about it in the weeks leading up. I've thought about the Killing Joke almost every day of my life for 20 years.
Hey, well, this is the way that it falls. Personally, I blame Phil and Scott here for reading the recolored versions. You know what I mean? Like
that's what it comes down to for me. If I had just had the one original art and kept as it is.
Next week, we're all reading the original, and we're going to score again.
I do think people have watched the show. They know what that caveat is, that we've read the recolored and the original there as well. And based on the conversation we've had, that's where this has fallen. So that's how it works. And we're not far off everyone else. Everyone else, on an average, scored it lower than us. Came in at a 9.3. We gave 9.5. That is how the cookie crumbles, as they say.
Can I also add that now is a good time for us all to go watch the animated movie of it?
Just skip the first 25 minutes.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing that.
There is a podcast on, an audiobook on Spotify. If you just search The Killing Joke on Spotify, it's only 42 minutes long, and it's well worth a read because the voice actors are really good.
Okay, let's have a catch up because we're already over the mark. I thought we'd probably run over today just because there's, so many talking points on this book. So let's just have a quick catch up with the comments, and then you guys can let people know what you got going on this week. Liam is saying him and Beth are available next week. Off my shelves is saying it's one of the few stories that I've read in this format that if you take the dialogue away, you still pretty much get the whole plot. So strong from an artistic standpoint. Again, well put. Pablo Costa said, sorry you misremembered. There's no last breath character on the last page. The laughter just stops when Batman supposedly kills the Joker. You've saved me a job of having to go back and have a look now, man. I was literally going to go back and check that out.
I did. I couldn't find it. I was like, maybe it's in a different print. Maybe it's in their print.
Tom says, no, I'm going to put it up there. He did censor himself, but I'm putting up the original. He said, no effing way, I'm out. And we also have the comic room demanding a recount. Amy telling Tom off. I like that. You tell him, Amy. So there we go. We've got Comic Band as well. Just says quickly about the movie. He said he watched the trailer for the animated movie. The animation looks terrible. The frame rate was so low it looked like a slideshow. I think I'll give it a miss. And Gore Vidal is saying Grant Morrison's Arkham Asylum, which came out a few years later, was another psychologically brilliant Batman story. Both were rare for mainstream comics at the time. We may see that turn up on the Nerd Herd as well.
Maybe.
All right then, folks. Do you want to let people know what we've got going on next week or on your individual channels and stuff? We've already kept all these good people for long enough, I feel now. So let's go that way around.
I dropped a vlog, episode 3 today on my channel. I've also got the unboxing of Job Lot Comics, Job Lot Comics mystery box. That's on my channel this week, but there's nothing due for the next 7 days, I don't think, apart from something that's occurring on Saturday, but I can't think. Shane?
Tomorrow I have my second What's in the Box, where I go through my storage,
grab
a random box and have a look and see what I've got, because even I don't know what I've got and I want to know. I might want to display something at some point. And on Sunday I'll be dropping the quiz, Dawn of Comics quiz night. Will be premiering Sunday at 6 p.m.
Nice.
UK time.
I can't wait for those outtakes. Oh, it's going to be so good. I never always look like a dickhead.
Wash your mouth out.
Yeah, sorry, Amy. Scott.
Me. So today I dropped a video of Amy. I gave Amy £50 and she made me a mystery box. So that shows the whole process of me giving her the money and talking about it, her showing everything she got, and then my reaction to the whole thing. It was a lot of fun and I loved it, and who knows, we may do more in the future. I also did another mystery box and valuing on the weekend, so check that out as well. Phil and I will be appearing on Mad Dog Comics. Is that the channel? Yeah, Mad Dog Comics for his live on Friday at 6:30. I think it's like MDC5. That's what it's called. And then on Saturday we've got the main event, which is Comic Airwaves at Harper State, PM, GMT, BST, whatever it is. But yeah, Phil and I have got loads coming up. We've got an interview with Mike Spicer, who is a colorist for Marvel, DC, Image. Really good colorist. He's awesome. We've got some really cool Scott versus Phil things coming up. Don't forget we've got the giveaway. Loads of people have entered for the giveaway, so maybe you'll win a nice little stack of comics. And we've also got, don't forget we got Ask Auntie Phil as well. So if you're gonna be joining us as well, don't forget to get your Ask Auntie Phil question lined up. But yeah, if anyone wants a mug, just come and ask me, and we can get you one. That's cool.
Get your mugs out.
You're using this is my channel. It's not a market. Jesus, 2 for £1.
But yeah, that's me.
Awesome.
All right, then, to wrap it up, let's let people know what we're reading next week. Next week, folks, we will be reading and having a discussion about Doctor Strange, Strange Origins, which is published, of course, by Marvel. And this was from 2016. And it's worth noting, this is a standalone, I think is it a trade paperback graphic novel? Yes. This is a graphic novel, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's a standalone graphic novel. So there you go. That's what we're reading next week. And as always, I will drop some links and end this with a few shout outs. So the first channel you might want to go and look at, if you like this channel, you might like these two, is Clarence Price. He's a collector of collected editions, a lot of omnibuses. This guy's omnibus collection is huge. It's massive. So if you like that stuff, go check him out and have a look. Second shout out that you might like. Strangely enough, I had no idea that Phil and Scott were going to go off on their travels, but go check out Mad Dog Comics as well. Mad Dog is a fellow Brit. He's one of our clan.
I think it was I think he hit like a year anniversary, like today or yesterday or something like that. Yeah, he's just hit a year.
So there you go. Go check him out. He's also a collector of collected editions. He talks about everything really: comics, hardbacks, omnibuses, and stuff as well. He does do a live, of course, as these guys are going on there. So go check out Mad Dog. And the last shout out I want to give is for our friend Matt, who has now started his channel, The Mystery Nights, with his friend Frank. And I think they're kind of getting in mystery boxes and kind of having a competition to see who gets the better ones. So I think they started with Batman mystery boxes, and they've kind of opened those and had that competition. So all the links are in there for you to go and check out. I'm out of breath. This one's tired me out, this one. I'll be honest with you. I'm exhausted. Maybe an hour and 12 minutes past my bedtime.
But like, this is not like the smallest book as well that we've reviewed.
40 odd pages.
Oh, God.
And it's the longest video. It's the longest episode.
I think so. But it goes to show, doesn't it, that there's just so much. And I think we probably could go on for another hour as well. You know what I mean? On that note, folks, we're going to do what we always do. And we are going to, Phil, what are we going to do?
We're going to get our website.